The joke I was gonna make, I was gonna be like, he's gonna totally destroy that ass.
You should have. Why wouldn't you?
I'm not making it. I'm not making that joke.
No, you should have made that joke. That was perfect. Why wouldn't you say that? Oh my god. Oh my god. That would have been so perfect.
It's gonna be awkward, guys. Get ready.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of your romantic getaway here in all of the anime, and I'm stumbling. I kind of lost track of what I was saying, so anyway, I'm just gonna go with it. Hopelessly Animanic.
For once, I'm paying attention.
For once?
And that's like, it's just the difference in it. That's how you get me to pay attention. You just make it different. You're just like, let's just change it up a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you just change stuff up on me without even telling me anything. It's just like, I'm just gonna do this. It's just like, it's terrible. Just terrible.
Yeah.
Just completely terrible.
Are you done? Are you done, Q? Are you done?
I could say yes, but no, I'm not done. I'm just saying no just because.
Just because.
Just because it's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Well, hi Q. How are you today?
Oh, I am rather splendid. I got up from a nap and had a pie, and that was nice. I was like, yay, pie. Everyone loves pie. So yeah, I got up, had pie, and that kind of good stuff. There were other stuff that happened after I got up, but those are things that you know about and I know about that the listeners just won't know about, because it's sensitive material,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How are you?
I'm great. I've been playing Destiny all week. Can't wait to write about it. I told you already that I'm going to write about it, so that's going to be fun. It's been quite an experience with Destiny, and it's definitely working out for the better, if I do say so myself. So I look forward to.
Right now?
I was right before the podcast, and now I just have my ship in orbit, because once we are done with today's episode, I will resume playing. So.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, when you get a PlayStation 4. You can play with.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, when I get a PlayStation, I could play with you. That's the kid is in there. It's there. Oh, I could just play some
RPGs. You stumbled over your words a little bit. That was adorable. Thanks for that.
Oh my god. Okay, so guys, welcome to Hopelessly Animanic, the podcast. My name is Q, and that other beautiful voice there is Kiki.
Oh, so you're saying I have a beautiful voice when I totally do not.
Oh, you do have a beautiful voice.
No, I don't. No,
it's beautiful. Don't worry about it.
It's not beautiful. It's obnoxious. It's crazy. It's loud.
Let's put it this way. Roger always says I have a beautiful voice, and I don't. So it's like, your voice is better than mine. So if my voice is beautiful, then yours must be even more. So yeah.
All right. Well, whatevs. However it works.
logic. That's how it works. It's logic. It's that kind of thing. Yep. So, what are we talking about today?
Today, we get to talk about an anime that I've been looking forward to probably since we started this podcast. And I think everybody at this point knows. And no, it's not Dragon Ball Z. Because
It's Pokemon!
well, no.
Damn it.
You know Pokemon's not a romantic anime, right? It's why I said no, it's not Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball Z is not romantic.
Yes, it was the last movie when Vegeta lost it for his wife, Bulma, when he was like, "Not my Bulma!" He did this big scream and stuff and beat up. You didn't see it, I'm sure you did.
Okay, so one romantic moment. By the way, that's my favorite character, so I mean, it's quite a touching moment. But one fleeting romantic moment does not label an entire series as romantic.
Okay, that's true.
So, well, let's be careful here.
Okay, listeners, you guys need to remember that when you're suggesting stuff to us. Don't suggest us stuff that's like, inherently just one romantic moment.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put this out there. Anyone that suggests Baka no Piku or however that's pronounced to us, we are not watching it. I'm just saying. I'm speaking for Kiki and myself. We're just not watching it.
What is this anime that you speak of?
It's an anime with like misleading characters. It's basically an anime where these characters that look like girls, but they're all guys. Like every single character in it are guys, and they're like it's supposed to be like when you watch like ecchi anime, when they're like all these really cute girls and stuff, and they have the ecchi moments and stuff like that. It's like yay, it's like that, but it's just guys. So like when they zoom in for the ecchi shots, there's like junk in the shot. Like no. Just no. We're not watching that. I'm just saying.
Whatever you say, Q.
We're not watching it. I'm saying.
Okay, we're not watching it then. I mean, whatever you say, Q. Maybe I'll watch it on my own. How's that?
No, you will not. You are banned from watching. I'm just saying. You're banned from watching such things. It's not a part of hopelessly animanicness.
Okay.
It's just not.
Okay, whatever you say, Q.
Okay, so how about telling us a bit about what Inuyasha is?
Alright, guys, so Inuyasha is a fantastic, world-renowned anime about this girl who gets sent back to feudal Japan, and they're trying to find what's called the Shikon jewel. Well, they're trying to find shards of it because the main character, Kagome, broke it. So they're trying to find all the shards and put it back together, essentially. And Kagome obviously falls in love with a boy in the past. And, well, he's not really a boy at this point. I mean, he's like 115 years old, but he's still in a, 17-year-old body. So, More
like 15, but okay.
I mean, well, according to Wiki, he's actually
according to Wiki, he's 50. He's 203 or something.
According to Wiki, he is 17 at the start of the anime, and then 100 something at the end. So
what? Seriously?
Yeah, he was 17 when he was pinned to the tree.
Oh god, I thought he was old or something.
No, you know what? I'm gonna pull it up right now. Just to be yeah, in your face. Because I always wondered this, because I know Kagome is 15 at the start of the anime. She's definitely 15. But by the end of it, she's 17 or 18 or whatever. But
she's 18 at the end of it. I read that part. I made sure to remember that. She's 18. You gotta check, as a guy, you gotta check the legal age. So you'd be like, yep, she's legal, it's okay. It's a guy thing.
Yeah. And, I mean, whatever. Whatever. All I'm saying is, Inuyasha is definitely, he's definitely...
I'm gonna say 15.
I'm gonna say 17, because I'm almost sure that that's what I read. So, let's get on this. Let's see. Here we go.
See who's right. Listeners, I need you guys to just take a moment and start meditating and thinking Q is right.
No, this is the part where you say Kiki is right, because Kiki's the one that has been looking forward to this anime. Literally since we launched this podcast. As soon as we started talking about making this podcast, I was at some point, we are talking about Inuyasha.
Which, by the way, we're doing the Inuyasha movies separate as their own separate thing from the series. This is a series, so we're doing each of the movies separate because they're all their own kind of thing. Yes, yes.
So. I was gonna bring that up today during the episode, Like, we're going to have to do the movie separate because the very first movie is fantastic. Oh, man.
I'm right, aren't I?
All right, he's 50. It's not fair. I swear it said 17. Someone must have... Someone changed it.
No, the listeners were chanting. Q's right.
No.
And thank you, listeners. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. And Kiki's wrong. So that's 1 point for Q. It's awesome. Beautiful. It's just beautiful. I'm right. It's nice to be right. It's just like,
wow.
It's like getting a hug. It's just like, oh,
all right.
Right.
That's enough. This is retired. Okay, anyway, guys, so Inuyasha, fantastic anime. This is actually the anime next to Dragon Ball Z that got me into anime. You know, back when I watched Inuyasha for the very first time, I was maybe like 10 years old or whenever it came out, and all I remember thinking was, this is so cool, you know? And at the time, I had no idea, you know, what anime was and all that stuff. I just thought everything was a cartoon, you know what I mean? So for me, I'm just like, this cartoon is so cool! And, you know...
Is that what you sounded like as a kid?
No.
Like, you were that excited and stuff?
Well, I mean, I was that excited, but I wasn't sitting there in my chair going, this is so cool! I was like, me and my friend would sit there because she had them all on like DVD and we'd watch it on demand or on demand.
With a DVD?
On demand. No, we didn't really have DVDs back then. It was on demand because it was off of Cartoon Network's, you know, Adult Swim and all that. And I just remember, I was like, wow, this show's so cool. It was my friend, her name is Sherry. She's the one that got me into Inuyasha all them years ago. And here I am, 23, and it's still one of my favorite animes ever.
Hi, Sherry. Hope you're listening to this. Thanks for introducing us to Inuyasha. It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, and I just remember Sherry and I, we would always fight over who got Shishomaru, which we'll talk about later. So
I just don't get why you guys don't like Inuyasha.
Okay, well, before we get to that, Q, what about you? How did you get into Inuyasha?
Okay, so I was already into anime by the point Inuyasha came around. My little sister was a huge Inuyasha fan, like every other girl out there that watches anime. So she was like, Inuyasha, Shishomaru stuff, because like you, she has a little Shishomaru crap. And, you know, she's just like a huge Shishomaru fan and stuff like that. And I was told to watch it, and I personally saw a few scenes going on. I was like, this is bollocks, I'm not watching this. And then one of my best friends, he had the entire series on DVD, and he's like, Key, you have to watch it. He loaned me the entire DVD set of every single episode. And you know, sometimes when you just have nothing better to do, and you just put on the DVD and you start watching, you're like, this is actually good. It's like, I'm actually enjoying this. It's like, you know, like that first scene at the beginning where Inuyasha is like, he's like pinned to the tree, and then he asks Kagumi to like remove the arrow. He's like, can you remove the arrow? And then he's so blunt and rude to her while he's asking. It's like, you'd think like he'd be like all sensitive and nice and say, can you please remove the arrow off of me? No, he's like, can you remove the arrow? Oh, you can't? Oh, you suck, you know. And telling her that she doesn't smell as attractive as, you know, as Kikyo. She's like, well, you're obviously not Kikyo. You don't smell as nice as she does, you know. Way to break a girl's heart at the beginning of the show. So more or less, when he, you know, when she removes the arrow and he bursts out and he just totally demolishes that centipede chick, I was like, yes, this dude is awesome. Especially when if you watch it in English and he says his attack move, which is like something Soul Stealer, and he does this whole scratch and he spins in
Iron Reaver Soul Stealer. No.
This is where the awkward comes in our podcast. You know, like there's like crickets playing in the background. Everyone's like, okay, then.
I will cuss you out. Would you like me to cuss you out?
It's just like, you know, you just come out of nowhere with that. But that's why I watched Inuyasha. I marathoned the entire thing in about a week or two or something like that. I just put in disc after disc, watch after watch, straight through, and so forth. And that's how I got to Inuyasha. It was interesting.
Yeah, well, that's very that's a lovely story, Q. Thank you.
I just want to think that your favorite character is Maruku. You know, I just want to think that,
he used to be.
For reasons, you know. I mean, he's such a gentleman. and his gentlemanly ways, how he just treats women with respect and stuff like that. You just have to
Oh,
adore the
that's
guy.
funny. I thought you would relate to him more than anybody. Go ahead, okay?
Me, I'm a gentleman.
Yeah.
I'm not his type of gentleman. I'm like the other type, the one that doesn't do such things that he does.
Okay.
Like constantly getting slapped and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. I mean, whatever. Okay, Ren.
This conversation is over. Let's just move on. So, like, yeah.
Q, I just love how, like, randomly you just have such, like, these quirky little comebacks for things. And, like, it's not even that, like, they're funny. It's just the way that you say them is just hysterical. And I love it. Thank you for being the entertainment in my life.
I am. Oh my god, this is what I've dreamed of all my life. When I was born, I was just like, I want to be the entertainment in someone's life. And it's happened. My life dream, it's fulfilled.
Well, then.
Yeah, my life's not that sad. I have other plans.
I was like, oh. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, that's how I got into Inuyasha. That's how you got into Inuyasha. It's an interesting anime. The voice acting isn't that bad. I watched it.
Oh gosh,
it lives up.
It does, and I think that's what I love most about Inuyasha is whether you watch, the Japanese version or you watch the English version. Both sides have fantastic voice acting, especially for that time era. Back in like in the Inuyasha like prime time. I mean, anime was coming out left and right, and voice acting was kind of sparse. Chibi Vampire or Karen is prime example. It came out around the same time, maybe 2-3 years after, and the voice acting in that it was atrocious. And many anime in that time frame had terrible voice acting. But I think Inuyasha, when the writers and the animators were creating this, they're like, this is going to be big, so we need to make sure we have everything down, and they nailed it.
They did a good job. And like, if you're watching it on Netflix, it automatically starts with the Japanese, and you automatically think like, oh, this Japanese dub is actually pretty good. And then when you go to the settings like I did and you switch it to English, you notice like the English is still good. I was like, because I was expecting like, I'm gonna switch it to English and it's gonna suck like potatoes, and I was like, no, it's actually pretty good. So it really shocked me. It really did shock me that it actually does live up to its time. It's not as good as voice acting you get these days, but it's good. It's way better than Chibi Vampire. I can say that much.
Oh yeah.
way better than Chibi Vampire. So, especially Inuyasha's voice actor, his is really amazing. I really like his voice. The voice actor who does Inuyasha is really, really good. Like, he's just standing ovation.
Yeah.
Standing
I mean,
ovation.
I think the actor that does Inuyasha, the one that does Sango, and the one that does Shishomaru are three of probably the best voice actors I've heard. And I think what they nail is their personalities. So Inuyasha is very fiery, very stubborn, and very kind of like yeah. He's very like yeah. And I think the voice actor nails that down. Sango, she's very mature, and she's young, but she's mature, and she's had to grow up fast, and I think the voice actor nailed that. And Sesshomaru, he has kind of like this mysterious, like, hidden past, like,
I hate my brother.
I hate life, but I don't want to because I still have my father's love for humans in me, and blah 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 blah. So like, he has like this internal conflict, and I think the voice actor for Shishomaru nailed it down as well. I think all of it was fantastic. But
and one thing that you said about like Sango, about her character, her voice actor nailing it. The voice actor also nails the other than the whole maturity and all that kind of stuff. I'm just gonna be a total guy and say the voice actor nails the hotness, because she just sounds adorable. Like
she does.
I mean, when you listen to Kagome, she sounds like a teenage girl.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of like, ugh, stop talking.
Yeah.
And then you hear Sango and it's like, oh, wow, she's like a lady. You want to carry her out to dying.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is also true.
Yeah, I really, really liked Sango, but we'll get to that once we get to the question portion of the podcast, because I'm sure we have great questions today, because it's an anime that both of us kind of grew up with, so we should know it very well, right?
Yes, indeed.
So, Q, why don't you start with the questions, right? That would...
Okay, so my first question is, why is Shippo your favorite character?
Who?
Shippo?
Ship-
Why is he your favorite character?
Shippo is not my favorite character. What's wrong with you? So why is Shippo your favorite character? I'm sorry, he's not.
Is Shippo your least favorite? Because he is mine. That's where the question is going. Who's your least favorite character?
Honestly, he's not my least favorite, but he's definitely close. He drives me absolutely crazy.
He drives me crazy. On and on. What a beautiful lady. On and on. She drives me crazy. On and on. And there's no ifs, no maybe. She goes on and on. Oh yeah.
But he's not my least favorite character. To answer your inadvertently obvious question, my least favorite character is definitely the flea. I don't remember his.
Oh, right. I think his name is Miyuga or something like that.
Yes.
Miyuga.
That he's a pain in the ass. I can't stand that little shit.
But he's just so awesome and stuff.
He's not awesome. He's annoying and he's just frustrating. He just drives me crazy.
He drives me crazy. On and on. What a beautiful lady. On and on. She drives me crazy. On and on. And there's no ifs, no maybe. She goes on and on. Oh yeah.
I don't like him.
I like to think he's the mascot of the team.
No, the thing I don't like about him is, he's designed to be like the mentor, like the old mentor, kind of like
Kind of like Kairi.
yeah, Kaede, and kind of like the grandpa. So he's kind of like the little one, like, on the go, like your old mentor on the go. But he never lives up to it. He just gives like little tidbits, and then he literally, no pun intended, he flees the situation. Did you see what I did there?
I see what you did there. Indeed. But then he's kind of Inuyasha's mentor, because Kaede's, which by the way, thanks for correcting me. You could have just said Kaede just to make me feel good, but whatever. Kaede is kind of Kagumi's mentor, so he's kind of like Inuyasha's mentor, because Inuyasha doesn't have a mentor. He doesn't really have anyone except him. So I like to think that he does fill his because he knows Inuyasha's father. I mean, he's a flea. He's been hanging around dogs his whole life. So I like to think that he does his job. It's Shippo who's the annoying one. He does nothing. He can't fight. He's terrible. They always have to save his ass. His voice acting is annoying. You think, oh, he's a little fox kid. He's gonna become awesome. He's just gonna show off some super hidden technique that you've never seen. He just never does that. It's he's one of those characters that you think are gonna at some point he's gonna reach a point where you're gonna be like, he became awesome. It never happens. Never becomes awesome. Just remains there. It's terrible. So yeah.
Oh, good lord.
Don't like him. Don't like him at all.
That's okay.
Okay, so second question. I would ask the obvious question, who are you shipping from the beginning, but there's no answer to that question other than Inuyasha and Kagumi. I don't think there's anyone who would ship any other characters.
No.
Or they'd have to be a complete idiot.
Well, here's the thing. This is one thing I was thinking today, because I was starting to watch our next week's anime, and a lot of anime that we've discussed so far has had some sort of triangle or collection of characters where there's possibilities for everybody. But I think Inuyasha, romance is what drives the story. However, it's not the pick and choose who you want to be together. It's this is who's together, now we need to see them and how they become together. I mean, it does that for every couple there. I mean, and there's only really two main ones, but Inuyasha and Kagome, they set that from the beginning. Hey, these are the two characters that are going to be together. See how how it happens. And the same thing with Sango and Moroku. The whole anime, it's they're gonna be together. The anime clearly says, pretty much clearly shows they're gonna be together, guys. You see. It's just showing their journey from basically hating to each other to loving each other, because I think it's not about the romance for this anime, it's the journey together.
Indeed, that is true. It is the journey. If there were any love triangle, it would have to be with Kikyo,
But she's
and
dead.
she's dead. So like, yeah, it can't happen.
It's not really gonna happen. He's dead, so it's like, okay.
She's a dead person. You can't love a dead
Whatever.
person that way. That way. But yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Tell me what you think about the romance between Inuyasha and Kagome. Like, how do you think it evolved and grew throughout the show?
Okay, so when Inuyasha first met Kagumi, he was like this pouty sort of dog person that, was just kind of, he'd hang around just to be there for the jewel and stuff like that. And he didn't care about a lot of the people in the world and stuff. He's just like all about, trying to become a full demon because he's a half demon. And he's just all about that. He doesn't really care about anything else. And so he just kind of hangs around Kagome, kind of like just hoping to get the jewel at some point in time. And the relationship is kind of iffy at first. It's just, there's a lot of friction between the two of them. Kagome immediately seems like she likes him at first. Like, she starts to, like, she plays with his ears when he's stuck to the tree. And as it goes along, she's the one who falls for him first. Like, she hits, rock bottom, I like this guy first. Whereas with Inuyasha, he's kind of like, gradually getting there. And even when he does like her, he still like denies the fact that he likes her. Like, he kind of, in his head, he's kind of like, it's just kind of hard for him. And so for me, the friction between them is what keeps you interested, because you don't want a love story where at the beginning it's like they love each other at the end. You want they love each other, but crazy shit happens, and then you kind of like have to work towards the romance, because with romance it's all about the work that you put in to give that full awesomeness there. And when you kind of put a lot of effort into something, you cherish it more. It's kind of like when you're a kid and your parents buys you all your stuff, so you don't really take care of most of it. You're just kind of like, well, mom's gonna buy me another one, so I don't really care. But then as you get older and you start working for your own shit, and it's just like, if something goes wrong, it's like, I gotta take care of this because I bought this with my money. So it's kind of like that with Inuyasha and Kagome. They work towards it, and so you appreciate it more at the end when it does happen. When they do come together as a couple, it just feels right. It just feels like a natural progression of things.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of filler in Inuyasha. Not saying that there's a lot of filler in there that could just be gone, and I wouldn't care for it. Like some episodes that just like draws it longer. But the main ones, those really, really sell the whole sort of like, these two in love with each other. And of course, like Maruko and Sango. I just like how Maruko just always finds a way to have his hand in her butt. It's just like, dude.
Yeah.
It's
and I think that's one thing I absolutely agree. I think it's one thing that I've admired about Inuyasha all these years is the progression between the relationships in the show. And I don't just mean between Kagome and Inuyasha, but all the characters. Inuyasha with Sango, Inuyasha with Moroku, even with the damn flea. Like, just how they grow as a group together is so well handled, and the romance is just kind of like, it's almost like the cherry on top of the ice cream. Like, it's already such a sweet show handed to you. And I don't mean sweet as in, oh, it's girly and it's boys, you shouldn't watch it, because I mean, it is a total badass show. I mean, the action in it alone carries it, but the romance is kind of like that sweet cherry where it's so delicate, but it's so right, as you said. I liked how you said that. It just feels so right when you finally get to the cherry, that it's like, this is exactly what has completed the show. And that's another thing I love about Inuyasha, is it literally has everything. It's a historical, supernatural, action, romance, comedy.
School
like,
days.
It has literally every piece of drama. Well, I shouldn't say drama, but it has every piece of genre. There we go. I got it right. It has every little bit of genre that you can think of, and it sprinkles. I think the only thing that's not in there is sci-fi, but that's because it goes on a more supernatural based, which
which is kind of like, but just not in space. So
I think the only sci-fi thing about it is the time travel.
Hey! We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Let's just. And that's time travel is sci-fi? No, it isn't. It kind of is though.
Yes,
Because Doctor Who
it
is
is.
sci-fi. Doctor Who. Sci-fi.
Hello,
Okay, so
Back to the Future. What's wrong
Yeah.
with you?
Back to the Future is awesome, but when it comes to time travel, the first thing you think of is not Back to the Future. You think of Doctor Who.
I think of
Right.
Back to the Future. So.
Then you're broken on it. Obviously, you have to try and fix it.
Ew! Ew! Do you want cuss out?
No, I'm just saying, I have to try and fix you because you need to know how awesome Doctor Who is.
You need to know that. Shut up.
Oh, by the way, Doctor Who has a lot of romance in it. So, like, if you haven't watched it yet, you need to watch it to see the romance in it too. No, we won't do it on the podcast because it's not anime, but like, just for personal fun, you should watch it for the romance, especially the 10th Doctor. Oh, it's just beautiful. Just beautiful. Listeners that watch Doctor Who, you know what I'm talking about. David Tennant for the win. So, let's see. Let's get back into talking about Inuyasha.
Yeah.
Watching this anime, for the second time because I only watched it once before. I sort of, the voice acting is good. Everything seems nice. The artwork still looks good at this age. I mean, it's an anime that really lives up. Like, so much years after, and this still looks good. It still stands up to the quality that it was back then, and it can still give a lot of anime that come out now a run for their money.
Oh yeah.
Because of how good it is. Oh, excuse me.
And I hate to say this, but I feel like the males created in the show are definitely handled better than the females. I feel like, and that's one thing that that always kind of bothered me about Inuyasha, was every male in the show has their own characteristics. When, we'll just take Inuyasha next to Shishomaru. They have completely different face structures. They have different eyes, and they're crafted so differently. Like, Inuyasha is very childlike, Shishomaru is very grown.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at we'll just look at Shishomaru versus Moroku, because they're technically the same age. They are crafted so differently that you can tell them apart, versus when you look at Kagome and... See, I can't even... The only thing that makes... We'll just like Sango and Kagome. If they're standing next to each other and you can't see their hair, the only difference between the two would be Sango has like the little bit of eye makeup. It's the only difference that you could see in them. And that's one thing that has always bothered me about the show, is all the females in the show, with the exception of villains, because the villains are dramatized features, all the females look the same, when all the males don't. And other than that little thing, because, it's just a little thing, I think the artwork is, like you said, it definitely has held its own even after all these years. Even when you look at the first episodes that came out back in 2003, like they're still, they still hold themselves up to the standard of even modern anime. It's glorious.
It is. So, with all that, actually to add to that exactly, I kind of think Shishomaru and Naraku kind of have a similar facial structure, but then actually they don't, and it's kind of weird. It's like Naraku has a longer nose and he's kind of more evil looking, but I think more of the evil characters look similar. Like, if you look at all the characters that were with Naraku, the male ones, they do look a lot like him and similar features.
Well, I think, it's hard to have different features in every character. I'm speaking primarily in terms of the main characters in the show.
Yeah, the main cast.
So if you look at the main cast, like I said, Inuyasha versus Susomaru, they're supposed to be brothers and everything, and you can see obviously how they're brothers, but at the same time, Inuyasha has a very childlike face, while Shishomaru has a very adult, mature, and
man face.
Yeah, and even if so, okay, Shishomaru is evil, blah blah blah. He has to have a more evil face. Well, that's what people could argue. Now, so in that same argument, look at Inuyasha next to Moroku. Still very different faces.
Yeah.
If you look at Sango and Kagome, they have pretty much the same face with the exception of Sango's eye makeup.
Yeah, that is true. They do have really, and same can be said for Kiki as well. She just looks which that's kind of supposed to happen between Kagome and her.
Yeah.
They're supposed to look the same. But then you look at Kaede when she was younger, she still looked kind of the same like them too, all that kind of stuff. So, you're
So.
pretty much right. That's true. Okay, so here's my question. Naraku, what do you think of this villain? Like, how was, what kind of, did you like this villain? Was he a good villain for the story? I mean, he was introduced pretty early to the story.
Yes.
And, more or less with most anime, when you have this overarching villain, most of the time the main villain isn't revealed yet until you get further into the anime. But you see him pretty early into it. Like, he makes his notions known, what he's all about and all that kind of stuff. And to a certain extent, he's kind of on his own quest. Like, it's kind of like Inuyasha and his team are on a quest to get the shards, and Naraku is also on the same quest, but they're just on separate point of views. So, what did you think of him as a character?
I think he's probably the most interesting of all the villains that I have ever seen in an anime. And again, a lot of anime that I watch, they don't always have an overarching villain. It's usually like a comedy or a romantic comedy. That's just kind of the stuff that I'm drawn to. But I think he's a very interesting character. And the only thing that I don't like about Naraku, which is kind of funny because now that I've pretty much rewatched the entire anime. Now again, there's 100 and some episodes that we're not going to be able to go back and watch every single one of them. But there's a kind of pattern with a lot of villains. Is okay. Villain comes along. Villain, Inuyasha can't beat the villain. Inuyasha and Kagome think of something to beat the villain. The villain is beaten. And I feel like when the final showdown happened with Naraku, I feel like, I don't know, it's hard. It's like I want to say it just kind of falls in the line with all the other villains, but at the same time, it's like their battle is so epic that it's hard. It doesn't help me.
It's hard not to like it.
Yeah,
it's a bit underwhelming, and then it's hard not to like it at the same at the same time. It is. It was because it happens pretty. It's a lot. I guess it's a bit. Faster than you'd expected. Like, I was expecting more from it.
That's what I mean. Like, for all these episodes, you're like, when's gonna have it? Like, you get so excited, and then when it finally happens, it's just kind of like, it's just like any other villain that you've encountered in the show. There was nothing like crazy, crazy good or wild,
I would have loved if, like, he wasn't the main villain, or you didn't know he was the main villain through the entire series, and then you found out at the end that he was. And I found that would have probably been more impactful, and then it would have been like, oh my god, this is amazing. Because if, like, we mentioned the movies at the beginning, and there are different villains in the movies, and they're amazing because they're not in the story, and you don't get this whole lead up to them, because you don't see them all through the story, whereas you do see Naraku all through the entire story.
Right.
Like, you see him every other episode or whatever have you. And with those guys, you never really see them, and you never seen them before the movie. So when you see them, it's like, oh my god, this is awesome, So more or less, I think it's because overexposure. Like when you're around someone too much, you kind of maybe take them a bit for granted that you see them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like family. Like, you see your brother or your sister at home all the time, and you're kind of like, I see you every day, it's okay. And then when they're not around, it's kind of like, oh my god, I miss Paul. I haven't seen him in ages. And you call Paul and you're like, hey Paul, I miss you. Haven't seen you in ages. Because it's because you're not around him all the time now. But when you are, it's kind of like, I don't need to call Paul or talk to him and tell him I miss him or anything like that. And it's kind of like that with Naraku. You see him all the time, and you just kind of like, yeah, okay, dude, okay, it's done. All right, well, such is life then.
Yeah, I feel like if he was introduced very heavily in the beginning and then was gone.
Yeah.
Throughout most of the show. And then he just kind of explodes at the end. I think it would have been much more rewarding. But I feel like, I agree with what you said. And I don't know how else to word it other than, like, I think if we had this not explosive battle. So I feel like if the very first few episodes were handled differently as far as, like, the inclusion of Naraku. Because I feel like pretty much what you said, like, you know about him in the beginning, but you don't see him till probably mid, like, actually see him and what he looks like. But at that point, once he's revealed, it's like,
he's there all the time.
Oh, all the time. And I feel like that's what ruined it. But if they would have switched it and said, okay, here he is at first episode. This is the bad guy. That's who they have to beat. Here's all the romance. Have fun. And then he was gone for pretty much the entirety of the show up until the end. I feel like it would have been much more rewarding as far as the last battle. But because you're so exposed to him throughout the entire show, that when that final battle happens and it's just like, oh, it's just like every other villain that they had to fight, you know, something is stopping him. And then Kagome says, oh, you're great. And Inuyasha's like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to kill him. It's like it's every other fight. And it's disappointing, but it's still Inuyasha.
It's still an epic fight. The fight is epic. It's just, it's because you've seen too much of him. It's kind of like, it's
exactly.
It's the whole and because this is a relationship podcast, it's the whole relationship thing all over again. If you're in a relationship with someone and you see them every day, you will eventually at some point start to either resent that person or you just get bored or something like that. Because if you see them every single day, it just becomes like, oh, I see you every day. Like, that person just comes to your house, spends the whole day there, and then leaves, and then comes back the next day. Might as well just get married and get it over with.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I mean, it's... People like the little mysterious things, the mystique. Let it build up. Let it build up to that point where it's like, oh, yay, we've reached that point. And then it kind of just flows from there. You know, once you get that guy to build up, like kind of like Inuyasha and Kagumi's relationship, it builds up slowly. And when it gets there, you like it, you know. But if it just like, yeah, you know, I'm always there, you know, whatever. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't really care about that much, you know. So, So Naraku, he's an okay villain. I think he was pretty, you know, scary and stuff like that. You know, as a younger teenager watching that, it was like, whoa, this dude is badass. But yeah, he just overstayed his welcome at the beginning. He should have just popped in at the end and then ended it. It would have been awesome. Okay, so I guess one last question, and this one has to be about Shishomaru, of course, because I mean, it beats Shishomaru. So Shishomaru, you know, he's that character that all the girls like. They're like, oh my god, Shishomaru, and stuff like that. And as a guy, strangely enough, Shishomaru is one of the coolest characters in the anime, because when I was watching Inuyasha for the first time, I liked Shishomaru too. Not the same way that you do. You have a relationship with that dude. I just I just liked how cool he was. I was like, yeah, this dude is awesome. Do you think in a fight between Inuyasha and Shishomaru, all out, who do you think wins?
See, it's hard to say because Inuyasha, without a doubt, has the stronger sword. Like, Tetsaiga is always gonna outbeat his brother. I mean, so if we're talking man to man, no swords, no nothing, just the two of them, of course Shishomaru is gonna win. But if they have the swords, it's definitely gonna be Inuyasha. So it's really hard to say because they have battled it out. They did in the beginning of the anime. They were in the father's tomb, and that's how Shishomaru lost his arm, was because of Inuyasha. But it's because of the sword. Like, Inuyasha was dying. He was losing the fight in the beginning because he is a half demon and he's not full-blooded. He is a half demon. And unfortunately for him, his brother is full, and his brother is a hell of a lot more powerful. But the sword kind of, you know, gives Inuyasha that power that, you know, that
little edge that he can compete with him. And the sword is, if I remember correctly, the sword is kind of, his brother can't touch it.
Yeah.
You know, because the father left weapons specifically for each of them. It was like, one son gets this, one son gets that. You know, like, you guys have your specific things for you. And I like that. I like the fact how it was handled, how the dad was like, you know, I'm going to leave each of you with something. And the way in which it was all done as well, it kind of led both Shishomaru and Inuyasha to the same point that the father was at, you know, how he cared about human beings. Because at the beginning, they both didn't really have any... I mean, at the beginning, Inuyasha liked Kikyo. Then he thought Kikyo betrayed him, and he hated humans again. And, you know, Shishomaru could care less at the beginning. And, you know, they kind of just grew to like humans, you know. As the story goes along, they kind of grew to care about people and stuff like that. And it all has to do with the whole the whole, fighting each other, the whole dynamic of how their father has, set things in motion. It's kind of like their father's like this overarching like genius that figured out a way to make his sons like the same thing he liked, and just did it,
Right.
And so I find it was really interesting, the dynamic between them. For me personally, the dynamic between Inuyasha and Shishomaru was really nice. And then Shishomaru and Rin was a really nice dynamic too, because, well, she's human. And Shishomaru is Shishomaru. He doesn't really care about humans, but yet he cares about Rin. He protects her and keeps her around, and, she's Rin. So, so more or less, Inuyasha, I have to say, between a fight between the two of them, my money's on Shishomaru. He's gonna kick his ass. As you said, with the sword, Inuyasha has an advantage with his sword. His sword is more powerful.
Yeah, and it's sad because, like, I do like Inuyasha. Don't let me fool you. I do love Inuyasha. He's a great character. He's fabulous. He has some of the best growth. Like, he goes from this stubborn little shitbag, and he grows into this. He grows into a man. He grows up, and it's probably, like, of all the anime that I've seen, and I'm not saying this just because, Inuyasha is the anime I grew up on, but I grew up with him, essentially, He was a stubborn little jerk, and he wants one thing, and he doesn't want anyone to change it, and then he just kind of grows up, and he becomes a man, and it's great. But I do love Shishomaru too, and it's like, it just kills me. They're both great. I think both of them. It's so wonderful, like, how different they are as characters, but at the same time, they are so similar as well. Like, as far as Inuyasha and Shishomaru. And I think that's why I love them both.
Yeah, they're pretty good characters. Really, really good, great. Inuyasha is such a good anime. I mean, hands down, it's such a good anime over the time of watching. It's just really, really good. I guess, okay, so, like, let's see. If you had to list your favorite... Now, it's so hard to list, like, one favorite character because of how good Inuyasha is. But if you had to, like, list your favorite characters and list your top 3 and base it on how their story went, like, how it progressed and everything like that, who'd be your top 3?
I would definitely choose Shishomaru as my first, of course. Like, he's forever and for always. My second would be see, my second spot is, like, tied because I can't choose between two people and how great they.
No, you gotta choose one.
I'm gonna say Inuyasha is number 2. I have to. And number 3 is definitely Sango.
Okay, nice. That's a nice choice.
Yeah.
Out of your 3, we share. I guess we share 2. I think. Okay, so in my order, it would be first would be Sango, because the first time I watched Inuyasha, I was just like, Sango is hot. I was like, yeah, I'm totally liking this chick, and plus she's really badass with that huge boomerang and stuff like that, and she has that sort of fox cat thing. What is it called? Kira or something like that? Kirara, yeah, that Kirara is so adorable, and it turns into this huge big dog fox thing. I don't even know what you call that. It's just a giant animal.
She's adorable.
Yeah, it's just really, really cute. But Sango's my favorite. Number 1, she was my favorite character when I first started watching Inuyasha. It's just like, I want to see her story progress. And then I would have to go with Shishomaru, because, he doesn't show up as much in the show, but the dude's just cool. Like, he is just cool. And I would pick Inuyasha, but my character is actually Rin. My last favorite tier to be Rin, because I like how her story progressed. Like, the end of hers, she spent all her time with Shishomaru. She cared about him. She treated him. She was just so she was an orphan kid. He kept her around. He made sure she was safe. But she spent all her time with demons. Because he's a demon, and then she had to go back to live in a normal life in the village and stuff like that. And Shishomaru still comes and checks on her and brings her presents and stuff like that. It's like, oh, it's so cool. He still brings her presents. He still cares about her.
I can't even tell you how many fanfics I've read about how they eventually marry, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
Shishomaru is a lone wolf. He is not like that.
It's more of the fact that she's like his little sister kind of character.
Right.
Like, you can't marry them. You can't ship them together. No.
No, like there were so many fanfics I read where when Ren finally grows up, they become a thing, and I'm like, no.
Insane.
It's just
It's gross.
If Shomaru was to ever procreate with someone, it would be another demon.
Yeah.
That's it. That's just there are just yes, he opens up to humans and eventually becomes to likes them and doesn't hate them as extremely as what he did, but to procreate with one, no, he would.
Yeah.
He would want a pure line, and that would be it.
Because I mean, he is a he's not just a demon. The dude is like he's a greater demon. Like he's stronger than the average piece of shit.
Yeah.
So he's not gonna just say like, you know what, I'm just gonna just. Yeah, and his name is Destruction of Life. That's what it means. So like, Destruction of Life decides to procreate with other life. No, that's not happening. He'll just. Yeah, I'm not. I was gonna make a joke there, but I'm not doing it. So like, yeah. It's gonna be really racy and stuff like that. Kind of. Yeah. Hey, if you probably know where I'm going with this, but I'm just not gonna make it. Anywho, it's about time we take a break. So, yeah.
And we'll be back.
You totally do that. Like, you'd actually, if you had the opportunity, like the chance, like you met a guy who was like totally down for it, and he's like, hey, you could marry another dude and you could have 2 husbands, and you meet another dude who's like, I'd totally marry you even though you have a husband. You totally do it.
Yeah, why not?
Oh my god!
I mean, why not?
This is so priceless. She says, oh, why not? Oh my god. And we're back to the podcast, guys. I won this time. Yes! I've been working on that whole episode.
That is so rude. What if I just said I'm not ready?
No, you can't be. Sorry. Won. I've been waiting for this for like 2 or 3 episodes. You've been kicking my ass with this every time. And I've been just waiting for an opportunity. I'm like, I just know if I just have to find the right moment, and I just gotta make sure I top this, and it was like, I was like, that's the point.
Whatever,
like,
Ren. Whatever, Ren.
Anywho, welcome back to the Hopelessly Animanic podcast. My name is Q, and that other voice, calling me names and stuff is Kiki.
He's just mad because he's totally a Ren.
They don't know what you're talking about. They don't care.
I could spill it.
You can't.
I'm calling you Ren from now on.
I'm gonna have to find a name for you that will make you stop calling me that. Like, I'm just gonna have to find one.
Ren.
Lady with 2 husbands. That's you're not even gonna care. You're just gonna be like, yep, I'm gonna totally do that.
Yeah. I mean.
Oh my god, could you imagine if you had like Shishimaru and Inuyasha and they were like, yeah, they were real people and they were like, Kiki, you just drop every guy you like in your life and be with us.
Okay.
There's a guy who Kiki likes listening to the podcast, and he's like, "Oh my god, she broke my heart." It's terrible.
Wait, can you do that again? That accent?
No, why? What's wrong? What? Why?
Oh, no reason.
You just like having me say weird things. I had some people listen to the end of, I believe, episode 7, I think. And that's the one where you made me do that weird voice. I was like, it's just terrible.
Well, guys, if you want to listen to something else cool, you should listen to the end of episode, I believe it's end of episode 6, where I cuss Q out. It's hilarious.
Listeners, I'll just have you guys know I deleted it after, so that episode's not there. If you go looking for it, you just not find it. And even if you do see it there, even if you do see it there and you click play, it's your computer's gonna explode. So like, just letting you know, your computer's gonna explode if you try to listen to that episode. You should just move on with life. Just skip it altogether.
No, don't even try it. You won't delete it, guys, because it's such a great episode.
Shishima would come out your computer and kill you. Just saying.
No, he'd come out and make sweet, tender.
You know, this works because most of our listeners are like females. So like when you say stuff like that, it's just like they're like, "Oh, we're totally gonna listen to that." Well, you know, whereas if this was a podcast where like, you know, it was predominantly male oriented.
This is gonna be for the ladies out there. So just imagine you're sitting there, and you know, you strong man with long silky hair comes out, and he has his little fluffy tail thing around his shoulder, and he just says, "Come on over." That's it. Because he's so mysterious that like you don't really have to say anything else, you know, because that's just him. So you walk over and you get all swaddled up in that big old fluffy whatever that thing is, his tail.
That's his dead father, and he smells like wet dog.
And
just like
with his like demon-like fingernails, he just kind of like very lightly like traces your arm, and you're just getting all like tingly. But he won't do anything more because he's a demon and you're a human. But he'll just that light little touch on your arm, and you're just like, oh, just like that.
And he smells like wet dog. Just remember that.
No,
he smells like wet dog.
I imagine him smelling like lavender and like the earth right after it's super hot out and it rains. That like that.
You know that's not that. Nope.
It's that misty smell. So like. So ladies, next time it gets super hot out, which will probably be relatively soon if you're on the eastern coast of the United States, it gets really hot, and then it like just downpours and rain because of the humidity. So like it's gonna be really hot, and then it rains just like that, and then that smell in the air, like that fresh smell, yeah, that's what Shishomaru smells like, with a hint of lavender.
It's just so creepy right now. Like,
just imagine, and then you're gonna be like, you're just gonna think of that, and then now, because I put that in your mind, every time that it rains and that smell is in the air, you're gonna think of Shishomaru.
And ladies and gentlemen, and the nominees for creepiest podcast host ever goes to Kiki for her role in talking about Shishomaru in the rain, and Kiki for
ladies, can you imagine Shishomaru standing in the rain? Like, that's a whole nother level.
Oh god, no. You know he's a dog, right? He smells like wet dog.
No, he doesn't.
They live in the Edo era. Remember at the beginning of the anime, when Kagumi wanted to bathe, and everyone was like, "You bathe? We don't bathe." And she's like, "I gotta get all this gunk off of me."
But here's the thing.
None of them bathe. They smell like dog.
Okay, but here's the thing. In feudal Japan, and back in those days, people didn't think of smell like that. And besides, our bodies were accustomed to
smelling like dog.
No, our bodies now are so babied. Our bodies, we wouldn't even need like deodorant, shampoo, soap, or anything like that, because but listen,
it's gross right now. You're basically selling me on a hippie life. Listen, like, you know, let's just not bathe forever, and then we'll be fine.
No, that's not what I mean. Our bodies literally cannot like function properly without being properly cleansed. But back then, bodies were adjusted to the lack of soaps and scents and things like that. Our bodies smelled so different back then. They didn't smell bad. They just smelled natural. And we don't know what natural smells like anymore, because our society is so based off of, you know, this idea of overly washing, overly, you know, complicating, and overly just scrubbing the natural oils and skin off of your body, that our bodies now depend on that stuff.
Okay, so
we have evolved as a species to be weak.
Here's the thing, though. There are cave people that still exist in the world, like, in some
But that's what
village
I mean.
somewhere in the world.
It's-
Like, if you were to go to that village, go to one of those villages on a trip. We'll fund this on the podcast. We'll have a Kiki go sniff
But-
people trip, and she'll
but
go
this-
around the world
no,
and sniff people.
I'm not saying that right now. So if I were to stop bathing and everything right now, yeah, in a year I'd probably smell like a dead
In
cow.
a year, a week. Talk about
No,
year.
it takes a while for your body to break down like that. But I'm talking as a species, we have evolved that we depend on that. I'm not talking about if I were to give birth to a child tomorrow and they were to grow up without soap and shampoo, that they would smell like roses and lavender. Our bodies now are so evolved that we have become dependent on that stuff. When back in that era of time, bodies weren't dependent on that stuff. They depended on just their natural oils and stuff to cleanse them. All they had to do to, quote, take a bath was to go in the water and rub dirt off of themselves, and then they'd be okay. Now we need soap and we need lotions and we need all this stuff that our bodies never ever, back 500-600 years ago, ever required.
Okay, I just need to know this, right? Like, how often do you shower exactly? Like,
Oh, me, I naturally, at this point, I shower every day or every other day, depending on, if I work. If I work, I shower every day, but, like today, I didn't work, so I'm like, well, I'm not going anywhere, so I'll shower tomorrow, but I'm just speaking.
So here's the thing. Here's the question, right? Let's give an example. Like, you're married and stuff, and you're living with a bloke, and you do. Let's say he's like really well off, so like the money's flowing in. You don't have to worry about cash. So you're at home all the day playing
I
video
would
games.
definitely at the bare minimum. For example, I showered yesterday. I knew I didn't have to work today, so when I got up, I went to church, came home. Normally, I shower like mid-afternoon or late evening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to shower today because I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. I'm just staying in bed and watching or playing video games, so I'm not going to shower. But tomorrow I will because I didn't shower today.
Didn't answer the question, dude. Married to a bloke, money flows in, you can just stay home and play video games all day and never have to go anywhere.
Yeah, I would still shower.
How often?
If, like I said, if not every day, every other day.
Okay. Just making sure, and listeners, you need to remember this because at some point Kiki's gonna get married during this podcast, and we're just gonna make sure she marries a really rich guy who like has lots of money and stuff, so she stays home and plays video games.
Let me say one thing real quick, and then let's go back to Inuyasha, because this about a year ago, and I only know this was a year ago because I wrote about it in my personal blog. I did what's called a no-poo treatment on my hair. And for those of you out there that don't know and probably don't know, is the no-poo treatment means that you cut shampoo out of your shower regime. You just rinse with water. And what this is basically supposed to do is called a detox treatment for your hair, because as a society, our bodies, our hair included, has become so dependent on the chemicals and shampoo and soaps that we no longer produce the natural oils that our body requires to clean itself. The no-poo treatment is a perfect example. When you cut shampoo out of your hair, the first natural reaction for any girl is, oh my god, my hair is going to get greasy and gross. And you're absolutely right. Within probably 2-3 days, your hair is going to look like it's just greasy and disgusting and it's nasty. And I'm not going to lie, it's going to make you disgusted with yourself. The no-poo treatment, and I will give the link to Q, so if he wants to post it in the description, he can.
I've already read the article. I know what I've read. So I know what it's like.
Eventually, your hair recalibrates, as they say. It recalibrates the production of oils in your hair to accommodate now the lack of shampoo, meaning your hair becomes cleaner, it's using more organic oils to cleanse itself, and it ends up growing better and becoming more healthy because you're no longer using the chemicals in shampoo that strip it of all the good that is in it. And because most people shampoo their hair every day, if not every other day, because I do have a lot of girls out there that have told me that they don't wash their hair every day, and that's perfectly fine. I only wash my hair twice a week, sometimes once a week. And I say that proudly because I know that the natural oils in my hair are there. They're helping my hair grow and stay strong. And I'm not using the destructive acids that are in shampoo. I'm telling you, ladies out there, next time you get in the shower, read the ingredients on that bottle of shampoo that you use religiously every day and tell me if you know what any of those chemicals are.
Just sniff the bottle like I do and say, that doesn't smell good in my hair. And just empty it into your hand and just rub it all over, and then
the whole point of this is you said Shishomaru smells like a wet dog. He does not, because his body has been accustomed to this lifestyle and does not smell that.
Shishomaru's a dog. Okay,
he's only a dog when he transforms.
No, he still has dog tendencies.
No, he doesn't. He's not sitting there scratching his ear like Inuyasha.
He walks around with a big fur coat of his dead father on him.
So, it's no different than going to the store and buying a coat that was pre-made.
That gets wet in the rain and blood on it from when he fights and all these other stuff, and he smells like dog. Let's just agree that he does not smell like dandelions or whatever. He's lavender.
No, he smells like lavender and freshly fallen rain. Just accept it. And I'm sure all the ladies are going to be so happy the next time it rains, and they're like, Kiki said Shishomaru smells like this. I love this.
You know something? They'll go back to the beginning of the podcast and they'll be like, wait a minute. He was right at the beginning, so he's right again now. We know he's right, no. So Kiki's wrong about this one.
I don't know what you're talking about. Ladies, don't listen to Q. He's just jealous because he doesn't look like Shishomaru, and he's just a little bitter.
I'm not jealous I don't look like Shishomaru. Yeah. I look like a Q, and I'm happy I look like a Q.
You look like Ren. You look like a
Ren is still fine. I'm sorry. Anywho,
you just look like a Ren. Look like a Ren. Look like a Ren. You're just mad because you're a Ren.
I'm a fine Ren. So, anywho, the thing is that Shishomaru smells like a dog.
No, he doesn't. Shut your mouth. He
just told our listeners to stop bathing and just stop shampooing your hair.
That's absolutely what I did not say. Unfortunately,
she just said, "Funk up the world and let's get us going."
Unfortunately, for our race as humans now, we are dependent on shampoo. So, of all the advice I could say is, please keep shampooing, because or I shouldn't even say shampoo, because I don't use anything but organic shampoo, which honestly they do make that stuff. So if you ladies out there need, you're like, oh my god, I want to, treat my hair better, go to your closest store and buy organic shampoo. There will be an organic label on it, I promise you. But anyway,
stop saying you ladies alone, because there are guys with hair. I have hair. I shampoo.
Guys are so fortunate because they literally can wash their hair once in 4 days, and it still looks good by the end of the 4th day.
Oh yeah, my hair still looks good since last. When was the last time I washed my hair? Was it 2 days? Well, no, I washed my day. Today's what? Today's Sunday. Monday, Sunday. I washed my hair probably about 3 days ago, and it still looks good. People keep telling me my hair looks wet though. Like, they look at me and they're like, your hair looks wet. I'm like, seriously? Because I'm using this new gel, and it's like, it says it has like extra sheeniness in it or something like that. Add sheen. And it apparently makes my hair look wet, so that's the thing.
Anyway, the whole point of this, ladies, is unfortunately for us
and gentlemen,
ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately for our species, we have become dependent on soap. So please do the whole world a favor and keep bathing regularly. If you would like to switch to a more healthy lifestyle for your hair, I recommend switching to an organic shampoo, because not only is it better for your hair, but you don't have to use it as often. So you can only wash your hair once or twice a week, and it's still looks fabulous, and it feels amazing. My hair has never felt healthier, just saying.
I wash mine probably once or twice a week, so that's fine.
So anyway, Q, Inuyasha. So what character do you relate to the most?
Okay, so we spent a lot of time talking about people taking showers and stuff. So, character that I relate to the most. Okay, let's see. Can I say none? Because I can't like okay, Inuyasha is childish. I'm not childish. I would say Shishomaru, but you know, okay, some people tell me that I'm really mean to people. Let's say a mixture of Inuyasha and Shishomaru. Let's put it that way. If
So
I had
you're
to
like
relate
a healthy balance between them.
a healthy balance, you know, like I'm like there are people who say that I'm really mean, but it depends on how I know you. So depending on how we relate to each other. Like for example, I can be childish with you because you know you're Kiki and you. I can be that way with you, but then there are other people that I just will not show that side to, and they would see my Shishomaru-ish side. Like I'd just basically be cold towards them, and they wouldn't understand why. But it's just how I am. So I guess I'm like a healthy balance between the two, Shishomaru and Inuyasha. Not really one or the other. The other characters, hell no. Maruku touches women all the time. I don't do that.
You're definitely a Moroku.
I'm serious. I don't like. I'm the kind of bloke that the chick has to kiss me. You know, that kind of bloke. You have to come on to me and woo me into liking you and stuff. I mean, I'm just not gonna hang out with you and be like, oh, let's just do this thing. No, I don't know, just me. I won't do that. So Maruku, who's like constantly, you know, holding on to Sango's butt, is just like that's just not me. We'd actually have to be in a relationship for me to do that. And he and Sango weren't in a relationship at the beginning, so I can't be him. He's terrible. What about you? Who do you relate to the most?
I think I relate to Sango the most, just because. Now, I'm not saying that my parents died and I had to just, like, you know, hurry up and grow up to take care of my little brother, you know, but I think she faced hardships and she had to grow up fast. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, I'm very fortunate my parents are still alive. I didn't grow up in feudal Japan where I was facing and fighting demons every day that I had to grow up fast, but there were my own things that I had to deal with when I was a teenager, and I did too feel like I had to grow up pretty fast because it was either grow up fast or, you know, basically succumb to drugs and alcohol like a lot of people that I knew. And I chose to grow up, and I chose to say I don't need to go through that like so many people I know. And that's kind of, so, you know, I'm like the modern day Sango. I feel like I had to grow up so I could overcome hardships. And, you know, I feel like she, you know, she's 16 throughout the majority of the show. And, you know, I remember being 16 and, you know, it's crazy to think that, yeah, that was 7 years ago. And I'm like, wow, that's 7 years
Whoa, you're old now. 7 years ago.
Oh.
Damn.
I'm not old. I feel like it sometimes.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel like I just relate to that. Like there's some things, like sometimes you go through a hardship that you don't plan for, and you have to grow up. And sometimes faster than what you're probably comfortable with, and that's what she had to do, and that's kind of what I had to do. I had to grow up mentally to kind of deal with what was happening in my life at the time.
Okay, that's understandable. That is totally understandable. And you probably have a Maruku in your life. But
yeah.
oh, can you imagine? You just had a dude just walked around every chance he got. He just touched your butt for no reason.
Eventually, I'd probably punch him in the face, but
eventually he wouldn't get punched the first time, and just like.
Well, it depends. Like if he's just like kidding around, because like I've slapped dudes' asses before. Like, no problem. But if they are doing it intentionally because they know it's like, I get to touch your butt and you don't do anything about it anyway, like they know they're doing it because I won't do anything, then it turns into, all right, do it again. I'm effing warning you. And then they do it and then I hit them in the face.
You said one thing there that I just was like, you know, you slap dudes' butts too. So it's like, yeah, you're just one of those dudes. You're just a dude just going around there being like, oh, there's a butt, I'm gonna smack it.
Sometimes you just gotta slap an ass.
Let's move on, shall we? This podcast is getting dirty.
It's always
like Shishomaru's fur.
Shishomaru, don't even. Like,
oh
I swear, we're gonna...
Let's move on. This
podcast is turning into a very long episode, I just realized.
Let's move on. Go on to the next question.
I guess, Q, a question I would ask you is this. If you were thrown down a well into feudal Japan, what would your first thing... Like, what would you do? Like, So if you were Kagome in this situation,
God, if I was a chick, first I'd check my boobs out. But okay, go
no,
on.
wow, and I'm the one making it dirty. I don't. I just,
Oh my God, it's not dirty if you're a guy. It's
not
just
dirty if
not.
you're gay. That's sexist.
No, I mean like
That's sexist.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry,
Guys,
but so
ladies out there, just so you know, Q is sexist.
I am not. I respect every lady
Ren.
in my life, just like I
Ren.
respect Kiki.
Ren.
The thing, the fact
Ren.
it's just, everyone knows Kiki that guys just like boobs. It's just a natural thing,
I
you know.
like
It's
boobs
just
too, but you don't see me saying, I'm gonna walk up and like, check out my titties.
you've had them for like years. They've pretty much become like having a toe or something. Like you'll see it every time. You're just like, well, I have a toe.
They're still nice. Sometimes I get out of the shower, speaking of showers, and I'm just like, oh, hey, you're looking nice today.
Oh my God, you can't blame me. I'm just saying, if I was Kigumi and I came out of a well, first thing I would find a pool of water and check my boobs out. But anywho, what's the rest of the question? What do I do after that?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you were in Kagome's position, what would you do?
Well, as a Kagome, one, I would not whine as much. Two, I would pretty much tell Inuyasha sit every day as much as she does. I'd be like, sit, dude, sit. And I'd actually go, if I was Kagome, I would have formed a relationship with Sango because, you know, she's hot and stuff like that, and I'd be like, it's okay, you know. And all kidding aside, I don't know, if I was thrown into feudal Japan just as a person, not as Kagome, but just as a person being thrown into feudal Japan, in that kind of situation, I'd be freaking creeped out like to hell. I'd be like, holy shit, what the hell's going on here? Like, I don't know how to deal with it. Monsters attacking me all over the place. Yeah, I'd probably, you know, just, I don't know how I reacted. I'd probably want to be like Sango because she could fight and stuff and has this giant boomerang. But I don't know how that's gonna work out. I'll probably find a hole to hide it and wait till I can go back home. What about you? What would you do if you sent into feudal Japan?
You know, as I was asking it, I was trying to think of my own answer, and honestly, I couldn't say. I don't know what I would do. First, I'd be like, what's up with this dude pinned to a tree? And then, you know, I'd be like, you know, as soon as he'd start mouthing off to me, you know, I don't know how I would react because I have a very fiery personality, as I'm sure our listeners have determined at this point in the show. Like,
probably slap him.
I'd probably walk up and slap him first. Like, don't you talk to me that way. Like, I'm not Kagome. I'm not just some 15-year-old pushover. Like, you're gonna talk to me that way, I'm gonna get my respect. But I would definitely, I think Kagome definitely uses the whole sit command a little cruelly sometimes, which I wouldn't do. Like, there's a difference between like training a dog and then just abusing the dog, and I feel like she does abuse him a lot, which I know they did for the comedy and everything, but I wouldn't do that. I would probably do a lot of what Kagome has done because I'm a very stubborn person, and if there's something that I want to do, I'm going to do it one way or another. Like, that's just how it is, you know.
And this is how rape started.
That's not. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
If there's something I want to do, I'm just gonna happen one way or the other. Yeah, that's what the first rapist said to himself.
Guys get raped.
It's terrible.
And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You probably rape guys. You just like, this is gonna happen, and the guys on the other side of the bed. No,
I was totally
my chastity.
I was totally gonna ask a question in regards to this, but
what's the question?
No, it's not appropriate for this podcast.
Oh, if it's not appropriate, we can just cut it out. What's the question?
Okay, so my question has always been, honestly, how does a guy get raped? Because it doesn't just get hard on its own, right?
No. There's a hardness factor. And a guy, you see, women have one brain, alright? It's in their head. They think about stuff. Men have two. We have one in the head, one in the other. And so, more or less, as a bloke, your brain is thinking, this is wrong, don't want to do this. And the other brain is like, dude, but she's hot though. And you're like, but no, we shouldn't. And the other one's like, but dude, but she's hot though. And then at the end of it, the one who says, dude, but she's hot though, he kind of does his own thing. So like, stimulation kind of it happens. Especially just like touching and stuff, it just happens. So a guy can get raped.
So like, even though one head is saying, no, I don't want to do this, the other head is saying, I don't care, I'm getting played with, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. It's getting turned on. It's just like, yeah, let's just do this thing. It's, in the words of Zach from Plug and Play, it's time to prime and shine. It just happens. So a bloke can get raped. It's just like, there are people who shag people, and after you shag it, you have that regret moment after you're like, I probably shouldn't. It's just the heat of the moment kind of thing. So a guy can get raped in the moment with all the stuff going down. I mean, granted, if he has strength in him, and the chick is not like King Kong who can hold him down or something, and he can like pick her off of him and put her aside, then yeah, he should, if he doesn't want to get raped. But if the chick ties him up and he can't do anything, then the dude can get raped. The only kind of chick that could tie a dude up and not rape him, she just has to be not attractive. Like, really not attractive. Like, just not in the slightest. And more likely than not, she won't be able to rape him. Because he'd be grossed out. He'd just be there like, ugh, just wanted to gag reflex. And both brains would be saying the same thing. They'd be like, ugh. Ugh.
I love that sound effect that you do.
But yeah, a guy can get raped. It is possible. It just depends on the hotness factor of the chick and stimulation, and if he's tied up. So yeah.
Some dudes get turned on by tied up, though. Right? I mean, I'm just saying, it happens. Some dudes like getting tied up. Why is that funny?
Oh my god. Anywho, we're supposed to be doing a podcast and all that's going to be edited out.
Yeah, we should probably start wrapping the episode up, though, because it's getting long. I just looked at, the recording time.
My god, it's an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we cut out the beginning of what, random talk, it should come down to about an hour and 10. Alright, so let's just wrap this up. Okay, so we've pretty much talked about Inuyasha to the mostly of it, and I don't think we've missed anything that's important. If you guys think we missed something that's important, write us. We'll talk about it in the comment section.
We will have one more Inuyasha episode. We forgot to talk about this, Q. We're going to have one more episode that's going to be all about the movies, because the movies kind of follow really big events, and the very first Inuyasha movie, it's something across time.
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful. Like, it actually made me cry the first time I watched it. Because obviously there's a happy ending, but there's some stuff that happens midway through that you're just like, oh god, no, don't! And then, the end happens, and then everything gets happy again, and you're like, okay, I'm happy again, So...
The first one is Affection Across Time, the second is The Castle Beyond the Looking Glass, the third one, The Sword of an Honorable Ruler, and the fourth one is On Fire on the Mystic Island. And I think we'd have to do each of these as a separate episode, because it's kind of like watching a separate anime for each of them, because they're each different. So I guess we'll do each one as a separate episode, just watch it and then talk
every 10th episode like I talked about before.
Yeah, we can do that. We could definitely do that. We could do it in the Inuyasha movie every 10 episodes.
Yay! So. Kiki happy.
Oh my god, yes. Yeah.
I told you what was going to happen at some point during the episode. I haven't done it yet.
Okay, so let's wrap this show up, guys. It's nice doing Focus Anime this week. And Kiki's about to do weird stuff, so we're just not going to have any of it. So... this has been episode 9 of the Hopelessly Animatic podcast. We've kind of had some what?
Q,
what? I'm deleting this. I'm sorry. I'm not editing that again. I'm just deleting it. The listeners are never gonna hear. It's too much work for me to edit anyway. So,
I
anywho,
couldn't even do it. I was laughing too.
because it's not happening. I'm sorry. So,
I was just laughing too hard. It was so good. Don't you dare delete that.
I can't edit. It's too much work. I have other things to
I
do.
only said 3 words. Like, for God's sake, you can totally do it. It's funny, and I laughed so hard on the first time we did it.
Just, I don't even know why that's so funny.
It's so funny. You just hear you try. You just like.
Terrible.
All right.
You know why you can't say nice things to me? I'm such a wonderful co-host. You could be like, you're such a wonderful person. I'll be like, oh, you're a wonderful person too.
Listen, you're a Ren, and sometimes Ren needs put in his place.
This is why I like Roger more. Anywho.
No, you don't.
So, this is episode 9 of the Hopelessly Animatic podcast. It was quite a ride. I'm glad we got to talk about Inuyasha because it's a part of our childhood. It's a part of getting into anime. I think if you're into anime, it's an anime that you should watch. And it's a lot of episodes, but it's worth the ride. You can just sit and just watch them. They're on Netflix. At least Netflix has 2 seasons of it. Mm-hmm. So you can sit and watch them and stuff like that. Or you can go. Kiss Anime is down right now as of this recording. So we don't know if it's when it's going to be back up yet. But when it is, we will mention on the podcast and we'll be like, it's back. Kiss Anime is back. I think they're moving their servers or something. Maybe they ran into some copyright infringement, something. I don't know. I don't know how they have their website, but they just have a lot of anime. So we'll wait till they come back. All right. So this is episode 9 of the buttons of the. Oh God, I said buttons. I'm so accustomed to say that. This is episode 9 of the Hopelessly Animatic podcast. I just want to make a mention, seeing as I did just happen to sort of drop a word bomb of the other podcast that I do, which is called the Button Smashers podcast. We just did our 100th episode last week, which was really nice. Thanks, my wonderful co-host giving me claps. Thank you. And so we did our 100th episode, and we have a giveaway going on that 100th episode. And I just want to mention it to those of you who happen to listen to this podcast and would probably like to get in on that giveaway if you don't happen to listen to BSP. It's a giveaway that requires you to listen to the last 2 episodes, which is 99 and 100. And it will, if you listen to those episodes, you get hints on how to find the stuff that you need to help you win that giveaway. And the giveaway is you're going to get a free t-shirt, a special edition Button Smashers t-shirt that's going to be a one of a kind that you're going to be the only one that has. A free $60 game that's not released yet, which is called Tales of Zestiria, whatever. It's on Steam, PS4, and Xbox One. And you're gonna get a copy of another game that's kind of like it's called I think it's King's Throne or something like that. It's a sort of a top-down shooter kind of thing, kind of like Binding of Isaac. So we're giving away those 2 games and a free t-shirt for anyone who can figure out our Easter egg in our podcast. And the hints are in the last 2 episodes. So no one has figured it out yet, hence the reason why I'm saying this now, as of this recording. So we'll see if you guys want to go win something free. Go over and check it out and have fun. So yeah, look at that.
You want to start me off, Q?
Totally. Before we start off, though, we still always have to do that shameless plug at the end. Guys, if you enjoy this podcast, go over to the website, thebuttonsmashers.com. We'll find all our other beautiful podcasts, like Button Smashers Podcast, Hopelessly Animanic that you're listening to right now, the Plug and Play show, the Plug and Play podcast, I should say.
And if you haven't, you also need to get caught up on Snowcast, because Snowcast will be relaunching within the next week or 2. Now the 20's all settled, we're going to be relaunching that, and we're starting off our relaunch with a wonderful top 10 list, which, I think everybody loves a nice, good top 10 list, so stay tuned for that.
So I'm going to have to share you now?
Why wouldn't have you shared me before?
But so I'm gonna have to share you right now after this? It's just gonna...
What? Well, Q, I mean, like, Snowcast, like, it's a thing.
But I'm gonna have to share you, though. It's not gonna be
Listen, I've had to share you with Roger, so I don't want to hear it.
Okay, so Let's see. And the last podcast is, of course, Gary Goddard's podcast. So you guys go check out those podcasts. Go check out the website. There's a lot of PAX articles going up this week because PAX is over and we're writing about it. And there's other stuff as well going up this week as well. So you guys can check out all that kind of good
and
stuff.
stay tuned for my Destiny thingy-mabob.
And Kiki's working on a Destiny article, so you definitely want to check that out. Hopefully it's up this week and we can read it and be like, oh my god, yes. Anywho's it, guys. This is where we wrap the show up. This has been longer than we expected. So, with that, let's get this show on the road. Let's get out of here. We have things to do. So, Kiki, this episode has been...
Awkward.
It has been...
Romantic.
And it has been...
Hopelessly animatic.